God is all there is. God is all there will ever be. God is all there is.
Well, good afternoon, good morning, or good evening. Any time zone at any time you've checked into our JazzZone.net show, we really greatly appreciate it. My name is Roscoe Lee Owens, and I am your host in the Jazz Zone. And today, as I say with all shows, like no other, we have Reverend Ruth Lemon with us, and she's going to just be awesome in terms of her delivery with the energy of God. And then we have the vocalist that you just heard on the beginning series, the chakra series, none other than Sandra McDaniels. And so what I want to do is I want to start the show off with a very, very high profile energy with Dr. Ruth and how this all began to come to you and why you decided to begin to teach and workshops and help folk.
Well, you know, Roscoe, I heard this word chakra maybe 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And everywhere I would go, I'd ask my girlfriends, what is a chakra? And it seemed like no one could ever tell me. So I met a young man, and he introduced me to a woman by the name of Joan Clark. And just so happened, she was my aromatherapy teacher, but she taught chakra classes. So I finally said, well, I'm going to these classes so I can find out what a chakra is. When I went in, we started with the root chakra, which is what my Energy of God CDs are about. And the root chakra is the beginning. You know, in the Bible, the beginning is listed as Genesis. And in other religions, they have a way of talking about the beginning. So we're talking about the beginning and learning how to heal yourself, how to work from within, bringing forth the energy of God and allowing it to express itself in your life. And most of us are held back by things that occur in our lives, things that happened when we were growing up, things that people told us about ourselves. And so we're blocked in. We live in a very small box. And when you talk about the root chakra, it actually just means the beginning. And the reason I want to clear that up is because a lot of times when you use certain terminology, people want to say it's a certain religion or they want to qualify it in some way. Chakra is a word that means beginning. The 7 energy centers in the body, starting with the root, which is the most important one, because if you can understand your history and the things that people say to you and how they are not who you truly are, then you can begin to live that true life, the energy of God, being exactly who you were meant to be when you came to this planet.
Awesome. Well said.
Thank you.
You know, as I understand, you had the workshops.
Yes.
And then we went right into the series. What I want to do, I want to also bring not only the young lady that sang on his vocals on the Energy of God series, but there had to be an energy and a force that was happening within both of your spirits to come to this far in starting with the CDs. And how did that happen for you, Sandra?
Well, actually, it developed through the workshops that I had been attending with the Reverend. And the series that all started through was the root chakra. And we wanted to do something to put out there to get people's attention on how they can heal themselves and just be better people in life. So the Reverend thought about the root chakras. We met Larry Morrison, who was actually the producer that helped us put this all together. And one evening, we were sitting in church, and we heard a song by Ricky Byers, and the chorus line was, God is all there is. At that point in time, the Reverend and I looked at each other and said, that's the song we need to have on our CD. And I told her, I said, I'll sing it for you because I'm a little character in myself and like to do many things, and singing is one of them. So I figured I could enhance the CDs by putting a little chorus, musical chorus on the CDs for her. So that's how we came up to you hearing me in the intro of the piece today. And then further along in the CDs is the Reverend doing her spoken word.
Beautiful, beautiful. the sound in terms of opening the CD. When I had the opportunity to receive one of the CDs and listen to it, it's an absolutely awesome choice that you both came to with that energy to deliver that. And of course the words within it is just like you said, when you both saw it and looked at each other, it's like, this is just what we have to do. Now, in terms of that, as we're going on, you selected the song, the energy was happening and flowing, and Larry Morris, you went to his studio, or he met you for lunch, or how
he met us at breakfast.
Yes. Okay.
Actually, he had met Sandra, and she introduced me to him, and we were just talking, and I asked him for his card, and he said, okay. I said, you know, I want to do something with you one day. And so he said, okay, and he left the restaurant. And 5 minutes later, he came back and he said, no, I got to stay with you right now. You got to go with me to my studio because we're supposed to do something together. And that was the energy of God. Yes. And so we said, okay, can we finish breakfast? He said, yeah, I'm going to stay right here. Yeah. So we left and went to his studio. And when we got there, he asked me a little bit about myself, and he played a tape that he had recorded about 15 years ago of another lady, and he said, you have something in common with this lady, and you're talking about the same thing. Yes. So he played a little bit of it, and he says, but you got something you got to do. Yeah. So I said, okay. So the next night, we went over to his studio, and we went in, and he said, well, what do you want to talk about? And I said, well, I really don't have any idea, but if we turn off the lights and we just meditate and sit with God for a minute, then we'll know. So we cut the lights off and we sat there, and I just went in and I asked God, what do you want me to talk about? And when he turned the lights back on, all of the words started coming out. We didn't write anything down, and just what I needed to say came forth, and it came forth perfect. And I kept saying, how's it sound? He said, keep going, God's in there. And it just kept coming, and we didn't change a word. We just stayed with it. And that was the introduction to the series. It's called I Am. And what it talks about is the fact that we have 7 chakras. It talks about how we operate out of old energy based on what we came in with. And what we call it our family of ancestors, yeah. Our family of origin, which is the body that you come through, and the energy of the people that you're raised around. And how even when you're just an idea in the mind of God being created, that you begin right there living life and taking in energy. You have the energy of your ancestors. All of your history is in you. All of the struggles, everything that they've ever gone through. Then you have the energy of your grandparents. You have the energy of your father and your mother. All of the things that they've gone through, be it good or bad. And so as we're growing, these things begin to shape our lives. Yes. And also you have the family which comes around. These are the extended aunties, and you know, your mother's best friend who becomes your auntie, and this Uncle Tom and all this. And people grow up, and you know, we're taking in everything. Yes. And then you hear young girls and they'll say, you know, when I was a little girl, my mother's girlfriend used to dress a certain way, and I said, when I grow up, I'm gonna dress just like her. Or you might have heard a sermon, a minister, and a little boy say, when I grow up, I'm gonna be a pastor of a church. But we're taking in all of this. Now you gotta remember that you're taking in the good with the bad. So as we're expressing our root energy, which is what we get from our beginning, from our very birth, then we begin to act out of this energy. And if you've ever talked to ministers, you know, when people see their pastor on the pulpit, they say, well, I'm going to be just like my pastor. He's a God man. Mm-hmm. Well, before he was the God man, he was a human being. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so in order for him to become a pastor and to talk to you and to express and to talk about what God is and heal in your life, he had to live life. And people don't want to know that part. But if it had not been for those things, whether they were good or bad, and what we talk about with the chakras is love, forgiveness, and knowing that your history is not your destiny. Whatever happened in your past, it's okay. And we're going to talk about loving and forgiveness, knowing how to let these things go so that you can move into the God of energy of who you are now. Many of us get stuck. You see people that are 50, 60 years old, and you remember in the movie 5 Heartbeats, yes, when the guy's father said, I ain't nothing and you ain't gonna be nothing. And that was a seed planted. So all through the movie, this guy's career is just fabulous. And then all of a sudden, that thought comes back and the energy comes in, and he loses his ability to be the performer, and he goes back into what? History. So what we want to talk about is releasing and letting go of that history through working in your root chakra area, being aware of what your thoughts and ideas, what are your beliefs? You know, what do you believe about money? Do you believe that money is something that's unattainable? Do you believe that you can be wealthy? Do you believe that the type of work, if you choose the work, that it will bring you the money? What do you really believe about it? And what happens when you get it? Do you believe that you can keep it, that it's yours? And we were talking about that this morning with my walking group, and how people hit the lottery and they can only go as high in their consciousness with it as they know. So we want to take them beyond that. We want to open up. This whole universe is waiting for everybody.
Yes.
We were born into the Garden of Eden, but most people don't know it because you can't see it. But we were. And so God has everything available for us. But if we don't know what our root is, if we don't know what our thoughts and our ideas and what our beliefs are about it, then we find ourselves, we'll grow and we get stuck. We'll get to a certain point, we're on a roll. Everything in life is just doing like this, and all of a sudden, we flatline. Because some old idea, some old thought, or someone that you know from your past shows up. And when they show up, they bring that energy. So we want to get you to the point where everything you see is the energy of God. You know that if something happened, when you meet someone, you only meet yourself. So that if they come with something negative, you look at it, you forgive it, you say, what part of that did I need so that I can grow? Do I want to become that, or can I take that and know that that's not really true about me? And what I find is many times, you know, people talk about prosperity, like right now we're in a very prosperous time. Everyone is acquiring jewelry, houses, and cars. But is that really the energy of God? Is that really all that God is? No, God is so much more than that. So you don't have to stay on a job for 40 years earning the money to get this house, when what you can do is stay on the job and work with the idea that God has some greatness in me, that he has something for me to do. And if I can just go within and learn how to be in the silence and meditate, which is what we talk about, listening to God, not praying to God, just listening, because he already knows what your needs are. Isn't that what your pastor tells you? He said, God knows you, Roscoe. He has something for you, Roscoe. But if you keep talking and begging and praying, and we do a lot of beg praying, then we can't hear. So what we talk about is utilizing the silence, going within. What is it that you want me to hear, God? What is it you want me to be? Who am I to you? Am I this instrument that you can just work through? And God is working through us all the time. So when we talk about the energy of God, that's what it is.
So then it appears the next step is obedience. And I'm going to talk to you about that aspect. Because if you receive the energy of God and you're sitting here and you're listening, and the Father says, take 2 steps to the left, and you do it because you felt that, and the tree falls down and you're out of the way, is that the obedience that you feel when you're in touch with your chakras and you understand where you're flowing?
Yeah, because you're listening. Yeah. You're listening at this point, and he's guiding you. It's not you doing the walking, he's doing the walking. You're just following his lead, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So, and then when you do take those 2 steps and that tree fall, you be like, yeah.
Right.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And be thankful that you did take those 2 steps.
Yeah. Be thankful of the obedience
that you followed to take those 2 steps.
As you're finding the silence and being attuned to your body, your God's spirit.
Right, that you're listening to here. Exactly. Right, not listening to your so speak, but you're listening within. That's moving you.
Now, you were also taking, Reverend Ruth's a workshop?
Yes, I was attending her workshops.
And that whole development, just you were listening and you're being moved in that obedient direction.
Yes, I am. Yeah, and it led me to doing the vocals that we're doing here now, and working with a guitarist, Hilliard Street, to help me compile the music to go with the note, to go with the melody of the song.
Right.
We came up with the note, the song being done in G. which is G is for God. And once we discovered that, that's how all that played together for the energy of him, then that's how we were able to put all that together.
Now, we have come together, attentively listened to the body, mind, and spirit, and I know you both walk quite a bit, so that's why I wanted to include body, mind, and spirit in terms of getting to the total understanding, and then being obedient. So that says, well, we meet Larry and we go and do ACD.
No, we did 3.
I understand. That's where I'm going to next, is now not only was it obedience, it's like, okay, well, this has to be a series. So you've done 3 so far?
We've done 3. There's 21 because there's 7 chakras. I actually have no idea what the other ones will be. I don't know. We don't know at this point what the music will be because it all comes from the energy of God. We don't normally write them. Based on what I've studied and what I've learned about just being in the energy of God, I just let whatever he wants to say, she wants to say through me, because, you know, there's the male-female aspects of God. And so when we're acting out of ourselves, you know, we're at any point pulling up both of those. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because even being a man, you know, sometimes you're not allowed to feel that emotional side of you. You're not allowed to express how you really feel. And so you got to know that part of God is being able to truly express how you feel, even if it's through tears, which many times is very unmanly. So let me list the 7 chakras for you.
Please.
The first one is the root chakra. The color is red. The musical note is C. I'm not going to talk about the musical note and all of the aspects of each one, but I want to say about that one because that's what our CD is about, the root chakra. The second chakra is the navel chakra, which the color is orange. Sandra's wearing orange. That's creativity and abundance. I'm wearing, the next one is the solar plexus, which is located in the area of the stomach. The color is gold. You're wearing that, which means that you're operating out of some emotional energy. It could be excitement, it could be whatever it is, but that's what you're expressing in your color. You have a little orange in there, so you're still acting out of creativity and abundance, which is the orange. The next one is the heart chakra, which is green. And I don't know what happened, but this morning Spirit said put on green, so I'm operating out of the energy of love. And my love center is going out all around the universe right now. And so the next one is the throat chakra. The color is blue. It's where you activate and talk out of your truth about what God really is, be it in your work, in your play, or wherever you are. And by me saying what God truly is talking out of your truth. Not being afraid to express who you are, not being afraid to be who you are. Because in our lives, many times, Roscoe, we're never allowed to be who we are. You know, one of my sons, who's going to be very upset when he sees this CD, because this show, because I'm talking about it, but when he was a young guy, he wanted to be a gardener. And my son loves working in the dirt. I mean, he would be out there and he'd just be busy. And, and he wanted to be a gardener. But how many of his friends are gardeners? So I'd say to him, John Michael, Washington, D.C., where the White House is, go in Beverly Hills, go in any neighborhood, and when you see those lawns, landscape, know that that's the energy and the mind of God, knowing where to put each one of those plants to complement it, to make it what it is, to make it visually beautiful. Like these flowers we have around here, we have lavender and sage, which are bringing forth energy from us. The lavender is relaxing, as the sage is clarifying and clearing the energy so that God can come forth. So you got to know that that was a gift. But no one would tell him that because, man, you want to be a gardener? Oh, man, why you want to be that? Yeah. So we got to be able to express and be who we are. And so when you talk out of your truth, when you're acting out of this energy, you are expressing and being that energy that's God, being everything that you were meant to be, even if it's a gardener, because there are millionaire gardeners, because God don't care.
It's very interesting that you said that, because I was speaking to someone, not disrelating it from the energy of God, and they were saying, well, I need to do this because people are making money over there. I said, whatever you're doing, there's millionaires doing that. Mm-hmm. It's how you're in touch with that and how creative you are with whatever that is.
That's right.
And if you're enjoying it, then
do it.
There you go.
And the next one is what you're talking about, is the third eye, which is the intuitive nature of God, which is you're connected with the full force and wonderful world of God. The next chakra is the crown chakra, which the color is purple, which is the color that Jesus loved and wore. They say that the robes that he wore were surrounded with purple. Energy of God, who knows? But I know that when you can understand more about who you are, when you can know where you come from and know that that past is not important, when you can know that if I made a mistake, that God is forgiving me and I still have that energy of God working through me, I can express and be whoever and whatever I want, because the love of God doesn't go anywhere. It's always in you. It's always waiting. When we can start spiraling in that energy and come to a full understanding that I am that God is, that I was made in the image and likeness of God. That Jesus said, the things that I do, you can do, and greater things. When we can recognize that the same God that gave Jesus the ability to heal and the ability to know operates and works through us. And that we can step out of limitation, that we can step forth and just be. Because we don't have to be afraid. And so when we talk about this series, the first one is I Am, which introduces you. The second one is a meditation tape CD where you sit and you have the opportunity to think and be still, and I ask you about your beliefs and perceptions. And the third one is called Vibrations, which is music, and what we have on there is cymbals, drums, rattles, and we operate out of the musical note C, and we call forth God. And in some religions, they have what they call the Om sound. So when I was doing this, God said, call forth my name. And I was like, what? And they were like, call forth my name. So I said, God! And when I did it, I was like, what the heck? But it felt good. A vibration of God circulating just felt so good that I did it a couple of times.
Feel it vibrating
So
now.
when you hear the CD, you're going to hear me call forth the nature of God, because you know what? We got to call forth what we need. We got to call forth the things that we want. We got to be willing to allow ourselves to feel that energy moving down through us. We can't be afraid. And what I'm saying is, you know, it's not about, I'm not talking about operating outside of yourself with the gospel music or any of those things. I'm not talking about hearing, I'm talking about hearing your own music, letting your body vibrate off of that energy and just being and calling forth. That's why in some churches they do the holy dance. Some people use tambourines, some people use gospel music, whatever it is, but call it forth. And don't be afraid to do it. Don't be afraid to allow God to express. And I'm not saying that you have to call it any particular religion. I'm saying whoever, whatever, even if you're sitting in a jail cell, call it forth. Because I'm going to tell you, I met a man who was in jail on death row. And this is a true story. I was at Dudley University in Carolina. Met a man who had been on death row. And he was in like where they have the most violent criminals. And so what happened is they bought a motivational speaker to see them, who was operating out of the energy of God. And this guy, they paid him $10,000 to come. And this guy said to the warden, I'm not going there because I'm never going to get out of jail. And the warden said, well, it's not about getting out of jail. It's about going to see and hear somebody that they paid $10,000 to come and talk to you. So the man went and he sat in the workshop, and the guy called forth the energy of God, and he talked about expressing who you were. And that man, when I met him, was out of jail and making $2,500 for every speech that he did to tell people like me that if he did it in my life, he can do it in yours. And sometimes we got to break the ice, we got to open up our body, we got to try new tools. Because try whatever works. These CDs may not be for everyone, but they're for anybody who's willing. You understand what I'm saying? For anybody that's willing, because you don't know what God is sending to you.
That's correct.
You don't know the gift that he's bringing forth. And I'm so blessed that he chose me, to express this. And I don't even know why, but I know that he chose me, and I'm willing. And that's all that's necessary. The willingness and the desire, letting go of old beliefs and perception, allowing that energy of God to move through you, allowing yourself to be open and receptive to these CDs, because God has a gift for you in them.
So, now you said there's 7 chakras.
7.
And there's 21 CDs.
There
So
will
you're
be
going to do
21
3.
CDs. 3 for each one, maybe. He may have more.
Three, okay. Okay, now, you know what was very interesting to me, and I'm blessed to have had you on the show before, and to get a better understanding of what chakras are, to listen to you in the morning on my own CD, of yours, of course, to listen to my CD with this herb, this ingredients. Let's talk about, because there is a flavor of God that you've designed or
Well,
put
we use
together as
chakra
well.
oils.
Chakra
That what you're
oils.
talking about?
Yes, yes.
We use chakra oils, and they're not herbs. They're oils that come from the plants.
Okay.
And what they do is they stimulate the memory. These plants come from the same source that you come from, which is the earth.
Yeah.
They say we come from it and we go back to it. So these plants have memory in them, and there are certain plants which are root oils. So some of them are angelic, cedarwood, black pepper, vetiver. There's just like a whole host of them, and they're called root oils. And so what we did is, I have a friend, Joan Clark, who created a formula for all of the chakra oils. I studied with her for 10 years, and she came up with the idea of the chakra oils, and she created this line, and those are the oils that we use. She has a master blender who makes the oils for me. And so we have the oils available for you to burn and to anoint your body with as you're working with the CDs. Now, some people might say it's ritual. Some people might say it doesn't work. But what I know is that if you trust God, you'll know. And you got to remember that the oils are mentioned in the Bible. People say, come, let me put some of this blessed oil on you all the time. So these are blessed oils. These are oils that were put together out of the mind of God through the instrument Joan Clark, and she then gave them to me, and I use them with my CD.
So it's not only to put on your body, but it's to...
You burn it. The best way to use them is to smell it first, because it works best through smell, because as you put it in, it goes in and